Oh, I got it. How you like that? What a way to open the show. Mr. Perfect style with a gun. You like that? Welcome everyone to Talk Wrestling here on NoDQ.com and MySpace and YouTube. Thank you everyone for watching last week. Got some interesting feedback as always. Again, just a reminder, I'm going to be nice this week. I promise I'll be nice. Do not leave questions in the comment board on MySpace or YouTube. Send them to my inbox on MySpace or my Yahoo email, okay? The links are right there on the page on YouTube. And if you're on my MySpace, you know to use my MySpace. If you're on NoDQ.com, Aaron provides the links. I know he does. So there's no excuse why you can't use the links we provide. Okay? So just stop, please. I'm being nice. I wasn't rude there. And Tyreek Davis, will we ever see Triple H versus Shawn Michaels one-on-one at WrestleMania? I don't think so. I think the last time you'll see Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania will be this coming year in Houston, Texas, against The Undertaker. That'll be both their last WrestleMania match. Michaels is set to retire, I believe, in the next year. He's beat up, he's worn out, much like The Undertaker is. And I think Triple H is moving on to other people. They had their feud for, whatever it was, 4 years between them. When Michaels came back from injury in 2002, they had a great feud. They've been great as DX, both before and after Michaels' injury. And I think they're going to remain friends. They're not going to have a big feud. They're not going to have a title match or whatever. They're not going to have a match at WrestleMania. I think you'll see Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania next year, and that'll be it for Shawn Michaels. Mikey LaGrange. Why wasn't Trish stripped of the Women's Championship when she was hurt back in 2005? That's a very good question. I actually got asked this before on RSI or maybe even on XMV. Hi. Waiting for me to interfere, weren't you? Yeah, so was I. The reason Trish was not stripped of the championship is because she was the main draw of the women's division at that time, and stripping her would have been useless because they would have had a tournament, and it would have showcased how bad the women's division was in 2005. They had Trish, they had Lita sometimes, and Molly was already gone, I believe, by then. Ivory was not wrestling by then. Jazz was kind of in and out of the company at that time. They didn't really have a whole lot of women to showcase back then. So I think that the reason she wasn't stripped is because they didn't have anybody to put it on. Who are they going to put it on at that time? If it was a men's championship, they probably would have been stripped of it, but it wasn't. It was the women's title, so there was an exception made. Should TNA introduce a women's X Cup? This is from Lap Raskin. I'm going with that pronunciation. It could showcase women from around the world, especially Japan. Not necessarily an X Cup, because X Division Cup is like the X Division. But a women's cup, like a women's division cup, would be cool. You can see women from Mexico and from Japan and from the United States and Canada and, England and Europe in general. That could be very cool. The knockout division is deep enough where they could have an opponent for everybody if they brought in a shitload of talent from around the world. Kong has connections in Japan and, through the NWA. They could bring in Mischief, the NWA Women's Champion. They could bring in girls like Daphne, Becky Bayless, Amber O'Neal, and those girls to showcase. It could be a good idea. It really could, if they do it right. If they do it like the X Cup, where you see the guys once and you never see them again, it wouldn't necessarily be a good thing. I think the X Cup should be, the Women's Cup and the X Cup should be to introduce people into the company, to have them be showcased more often. Alex Ramsey, what can be done to increase the prestige of the Intercontinental and US Championships? Very simple. Have them defend them more often. Have them to be defended at WrestleMania. When was the last time the Intercontinental Champion defended the title at WrestleMania? I can't even remember. The Intercontinental Champion's been in the Money in the Bank the last 3-4 years. Before that, I don't think the title's been defended. To my recollection, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think, Aaron, that the Intercontinental title's been defended at WrestleMania since 2002. When Rob Van Dam defeated William Regal. I think since then, the championship has not been defended at WrestleMania. Have it be defended at WrestleMania. Same thing with the U.S. title. U.S. titles have been defended at WrestleMania since 2004, when John Cena defeated the Big Show. Have the titles be showcased on your main show. They'll get more prestige. They'll get more noise. All this noise. We had planes last show, now we got construction and kids and... Not to mention this thing's beeping in my ear. Stop beeping in my ear. I'm gonna take it out. Alright, takes care of that. Other than defending at WrestleMania, haven't been defended more often, period. Every pay-per-view, there should be an Intercontinental or US title match. It's the secondary title on each show. It should have some meaning to the wrestlers on the shows. MVP made the US title worth something because he defended it so often on pay-per-view and because he was a credible champion. Yes, he was a heel. Yes, he was sneaky. Yes, he got out of the title defenses and he got himself kind of disqualified. But you know what? He was like Ric Flair back in the day. He made himself a champion because he knew what he was doing. Matt Hardy is doing the same thing. He's defending the title every week, or at least every other week, and he's facing incredible challenges. Chris Jericho said he's going to start defending the Intercontinental title more often a couple weeks ago on Raw, but now he's in this feud with Shawn Michaels. I don't know. We'll see what happens with the Intercontinental title. Let's see. Mansman73 at AOL.com. Do I think MMA star Kimbo Slice will become a wrestler in WWE or TNA? No. I think Kimbo is making his money very nicely in the mixed martial arts world, not in sports entertainment, wrestling. And considering his last fight was a debacle on CBS, I don't think you'll see WWE or TNA associating themselves with him because of the negative connotations it would take with being associated with him. It looked like a really bad situation on the CBS fight with him involved, and I don't think that either company want to associate themselves with that. So I don't think you'll see him in WWE or TNA anytime soon. This is from NB00085 at Comcast.net. Provide your name, please. Provide your name in the next show. Do I think it's weird that almost every guy who's about to get a push gets suspended? That seems to be happening, doesn't it? You had William Regal who got suspended. Jeff Hardy got suspended. Jimmy Wang Yang, who wasn't really getting a push, but he got suspended in the midst of a. Well, actually, he got squashed on SmackDown a couple weeks ago by Kozlov, so he wasn't really getting a big push. But it's fun. I wouldn't be surprised if the next guy that gets suspended is going to be a big name, like an MVP if he's doing steroids, which I doubt he is, because that's who he mentioned was MVP. Is MVP going to get the next because he's on steroids? I don't think he's on steroids. I doubt he is. He seems like he's a legitimate athlete. We'll have to wait and see what happens. I think it's ironic that these guys get their big push, they get their big step by Vince or by the writing team, and then they go and get themselves in trouble. I think the wellness policy is doing very well. It's in place. Guys are getting caught. Guys are getting suspended for 30 or 60 days at a time. And Regal is in the most trouble because if he gets suspended one more time, he may get deported because that fucker needs to keep a job. But Jeff Hardy getting suspended was a big deal. It was like, wow, Jeff Hardy, the untouchable. You know, he's been so good since he came back, and now he's suspended. Wow. We'll see what happens with the guys getting suspended. I think the next one, whoever it is, will be very telling as far as if the policy is going to continue to work. From Robert Grief, I guess, Greif, Robert Grief. Why isn't Kurt Angle counted as an official 12-time world champion? TNA calls him a 12-time champion all the time. He's not. If you count professional wrestling, he's not. He is a 4-time WWE champion, I believe. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4-time WWE champion, 1-time world champion, world heavyweight champion, and a 2-time TNA champion. That makes 7, not 12. And if you also count the little NWA reign that he had that wasn't official because NWA had stripped Christian Cage of the championship prior to that pay-per-view at Sacrifice 2007, he's an 8-time champion. Even so, he's not 12. If you count the world titles he's won, the Olympic level, at the collegiate level, and the USA level, he probably is a 12-time world champion. But strictly professional wrestling, he's a 7 or 8-time world champion. That's why he's not counted as a 12-time. Rob Tillison. Do I think the $1 Million Man will help or hurt by managing his son at the beginning of his career? It doesn't seem like DiBiase's going to manage DiBiase Jr. It seems like he introduced him in the deal with Vince and it brought him into the spotlight, and now he's kind of taken a step back and gone back into the shadows as the $1 Million Man does. He shows up every once in a while, makes appearances, then he disappears again. I don't think you'll see DiBiase managing his son. As far as his partner goes, it'd be interesting to see Mike DiBiase be brought up to partner with his brother and challenge Rhodes and Holly at Night Champions. We'll have to see. Joe Gilligan. Yes, Gilligan is in Gilligan's Island. He wanted me to point that out. Gilligan as in the island. He wanted me to point that out too, so I did. What do I think of the CMLL wrestler Mystico? Do I see him coming to WWE or TNA? What kind of feud would he be in? Would he feud with Mysterio? Mystico is a great talent. Mystico is one of the biggest stars, one of the biggest stars in Mexico right now. There's been talks about him going to WWE for the last 2 years or so. Yeah, choo-choo train going by now. More noise. Choo-choo. Tugboat. Oh, no more. Okay. Mystico's been the talk of the wrestling world the last couple years as far as coming to WWE. There was talk back in March of this year that he would be with TNA as a featured attraction because of his obligation to CMLL in Mexico. It'd be cool to see him on a national stage one way or the other, either in WWE or TNA. As far as the feud, he'd be cool to feud with Mysterio. In TNA, he could feud with anybody in the X Division. He's that good. He could feud with Black Machismo, he could feud with Petey, he could feud with Sabin or Shelly or any of those guys. And the noise is getting closer. Everybody expects a rant from me every show, so I'm gonna rant a little bit about Epic War. Last Saturday we had a show, and needless to say, I was utilized very poorly. My spot in the company keeps getting questioned. I guess I haven't paid enough dues. I guess I haven't, done enough in Gary's eyes to be showcased as a talent anymore. I went from driving with them up to APW, managing Teddy Hart and Marcus Riot, holding Gary's little fucking monster at ringside. Okay, I ring announced for them. I refereed for the promotion in Palmdale because Jimmy Quinn was stuck and needed a referee because I was there with Gary and didn't want to look bad in Gary's eyes. And I keep getting pushed down and pushed down and pushed down. So I don't know if you'll hear me promote Epic War or not anymore on this show, because if my spot's gonna be keep getting called into question, if I keep not being showcased the way because here's the thing, Gary came to me back in November. Gary came to me to showcase his show and his talent and his girlfriend and Bo when he was on the show too. Okay, he came to me saying, "Can I use your show?" I said, "Sure. I'll promote the show. We'll do whatever. We'll do a whole show about Gary Yap and Epic Pro Wrestling War." And Aaron didn't even film that day because he didn't want to drive out here. I don't blame him. I even had my girlfriend on the show at the time, Jade. She was on the show too. And he used me, and he's continued to use me. So the next time you hear about Gary Yap on the show, next time you hear about Epic Pro Wrestling War on the show, it won't be in a positive light. I promise you that. That's it for Talk Wrestling. Again, it's just my opinion. You don't like it? Email me and let me know. I'll be glad to respond. Take care.